So welcome back to the channel, and today I'm previewing the Denver Broncos and their 2020 season. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. I've got a lot more content coming over the next few weeks. I hope you enjoy. So 2019 season for the Denver Broncos, they went 7-9 in Vic Fangio's first season, and they finished second in the AFC West. So this wasn't a bad start under Fangio's reign in Denver. They didn't make the playoffs, but there were a lot of encouraging signs. I think they found their future quarterback in Drew Lock, and certain players certainly stepped up to the mark that perhaps the Broncos organisation weren't expecting. However, it was slightly disappointing for the Broncos, but they have made some good moves, which I'll touch on later in the video. So the quarterback and Drew Lock, I've already made a video on him. I think that he's one of the best talents that we'll see in the NFL for years to come. I think he's an elite, and that he has all the makings of an all-pro quarterback like Breeze, Brady and Rodgers, you know, those sort of quarterbacks. He's got a great arm on him. He makes deep balls look really effortless. But unlike some other gunslingers that you'll see in the league who get slightly carried away, they never take checkdowns and stuff. His willingness to take what the defense gives him underneath and pick up easy yards is what sets him apart from other quarterbacks in the league so far. He does have a slight tendency to force the ball into traffic. Doesn't always read zones correctly, but obviously that was his first year in the NFL last year, so we'll see how he progresses. But raw talent, athleticism is there, and I think the Broncos have a real stud. Make sure to go and check that out after this video. So the Broncos have two really great running backs for 2020. Melvin Gordon, when he's fit, is really top tier. He's had some real injury issues, but 5 seasons in the league, and he's only played 67 out of an 85 possible games due to his injuries, but he has racked up over 6,000 all-purpose yards in that time, so very productive when he's on the field. And to accompany Melvin Gordon, you've got Philip Lindsay, was one of the players I kind of alluded to at the start, one of those players that the Broncos maybe weren't expecting a lot from, but really stepped up to the mark and performed. He was an undrafted free agent, but he racked up 1,000 yards rushing in 2018 and 2019 respectively, so he's been a great find for them. And then when you look towards the pass catchers, they've got some good depth at tight end. You've got Noah Fant and Nick Vannett, who are really good pass catchers themselves, and they've got some really speedy wide receivers. They've got a really good wide receiver core. I do like them. They've got Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler coming from the draft, and they've already got Cortland Sutton, who was really good last year. And all of these receivers kind of bring a different aspect towards the team. You've got physicality from Cortland Sutton and good pass catching ability. You've got Jerry Jeudy's route running, which is, it was probably the best out of all the players in the draft. And then you've got KJ Hamler, who just brings absolute breakneck speed onto the roster and makes the defense kind of respect that deep ball threat. So I really like the wide receivers for Denver heading into 2020. I think they made two really astute moves in the offseason heading towards KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy. So on to the defense, and the front of Denver's 3-4 defense was fairly average in 2019. They were 16th in rush yards per game allowed, 17th in total sacks on the year, so nothing special. But Jarrell Casey's addition from the Titans for 2020, that's a quality addition at defensive end in the trenches. And the linebacker core is absolutely stacked. You've got Bradley Chubb on the one side, Von Miller on the other. Von Miller has 106 sacks in 9 years, and Chubb was awesome in 2018 with 12 sacks, but injury kind of kept him on the sideline for the 2019 season, which was disappointing for him. Todd Davis and Alexander Johnson in the middle go about their work quietly, racking up lots of tackles, and let Von and Bradley Chubb kind of get on with it in the middle and rack up all the sacks, cause all the havoc, and they just kind of pick up the loose ends. So I've talked about the front seven of the Denver Broncos defense, but it's definitely the secondary that looks the most impressive for the 2020 season. The safeties, Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons, they're really quality players. They had 6 interceptions together and over 160 tackles in 2019. And then they've got cornerback Isaac Yiadom, who'll start in 2020, combined with cornerback AJ Bouye from the Jaguars that they picked up. He racked up some really impressive numbers in Duval County for the Jags. So this does look really good for 2020. And Chris Harris will be a loss for them, obviously. He's been a great corner over the last few years, but I'm confident that AJ Bouye can step up and perform well. And considering they didn't give up too much draft capital for him, I'd say it's probably a good move. So let me know now, who do you think will make the biggest impact for the Broncos in 2020? Drop a comment and let me know who you think it'll be. So looking towards the coaching side of things, and Vic Fangio has been a defensive coordinator for 6 different teams, and he's coached them to relative success. and he had the 12th least yards allowed in 2019, only just outside the top 10, but another year under Fangio and some additions, and I think it's only going to better the Denver Broncos defense. I think they're going to be quite good on that side of the ball in 2020. You've got offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur. He's going to have an awful lot to prove in 2020. He's just been fired by the Giants from his head coaching role, so he's going to be looking to bring out a really great offense in 2020, use all the weapons that he's been given with the Broncos and show that he can step up again and potentially be a head coach in the future. And then defensive coordinator position, you've got Ed Donatel. It's his second stint with the Broncos organization after being a secondary coach in the late 90s. He's been at the 49ers, the Bears and the Falcons, and he's a really seasoned defensive coordinator. So under these three coaches, I can see a real successful coaching setup here. So looking towards the schedule for the Broncos in 2020, they've got the 12th hardest schedule. Their hardest games are home and away to the Chiefs, and then they go on the road to the Steelers and the Patriots whilst they host the Titans, the Saints and the Bills. So a fairly hard schedule. Those aren't easy games there, but I think the Broncos have got quite a lot of quality on their roster to be able to cope with that. And then looking towards the transactions that the Broncos have made over the offseason, and they've actually been quite active. They made three kind of big name trades. They got AJ Boye in from the Jags for a 4th rounder, defensive end Jarrell Casey in for a 7th rounder, which was absolutely massive. I don't think anyone expected that they'd get Casey for a 7th rounder, and then they also gained a 7th round pick for 2021 for fullback Andy Yanovich, which they sent away. So then looking towards the draft, obviously I've spoken a little bit about the players that they brought in, but first off the board for them were 2 quality wide receivers, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler. Jeudy from Alabama, where his route running and run after catch ability really set him apart, and he was the star of a quality wide receiver show down there with Nick Saban. And KJ Hamler was a true deep threat at Penn State, burning defenders for fun. And another really good pickup that I liked from this draft was the inside O-lineman Lloyd Cushenberry from a really great LSU team, which obviously won the national championship. I think that he's quite underrated, and I think that Lloyd Cushenberry, to pick him up where they did, is actually really good for the Broncos. So then looking towards the free agency aspect of the 2020 offseason, so going out, they had Chris Harris Jr. at corner, Colin McGovern, and then Ronald Leary on the offensive line. But coming in, they made quite a lot of moves. They got Nick Vannett, Melvin Gordon. They extended Graham Glasgow's contract and put the franchise tag on Justin Simmons, but they did decline the 5th-year option on Garrett Bowles at left tackle. So obviously it's a big year for him, contract year. So we'll see how that plays out for him. So go and let me know now in the comments, who do you think from free agency or trades will make the biggest difference for the Broncos in 2020? Let me know now. So my overall analysis for the Broncos in 2020 is that I think they're going to be really good. I think that the Broncos are really underrated right now. I don't think that they're getting the respect that they kind of deserve. I don't think they'll be good enough to beat out the Chiefs for the AFC West title, but I think that Drew Lock will kind of be the catalyst of something special happening in Denver. And so therefore I think that their floor will be 6-10 for this season. And if things go to plan, they can pick up a win against the Chiefs and some of the wins against harder teams like the Saints and the Bills. Then their ceiling could easily go up to around 11-5, 12-4, and secure a playoff spot. Regardless of how well they perform in 2020, I think everyone will see Drew Lock's talent, realise how much of a good player he is, and I think everyone will then realise that the Broncos have got all of the building blocks in place to be great over the next few years, even if it doesn't necessarily all click together in 2020. So keep an eye on the Broncos. They'll definitely be one that may become good 2021, 2022 if it doesn't work this year. So as ever, let me know what you think in the comments. Have I been too kind to the Denver Broncos? Have I been a little bit too harsh? What do you think? Who do you think is going to really stand out for them this year? So thanks for making it to this stage of the video. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've got a lot more coming out over the next few weeks. Uploads are every 2 to 3 days, so make sure to subscribe to stay notified of all my videos coming out, and I'll see you in the next one.